And we speak to Ongama Mtimka, who is a political analyst, to get some, his thoughts on the State of the Nation address happening later today. Tonight at 7 p.m. Remember, you can catch that address on SABC News Channel 404 as well as on SABC2. Ongama, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Good morning, Mahendra, and your listeners.
It's actually Blaine Ongama. Thank you very much.
Blaine, sorry.
No worries. I can see you. He's a handsome man as well, so it's fine. Listen, this is the second the president's second State of the Nation address. We understand that the 2019 occasion will focus on, among other issues, on the substance of renewal and growth. How significant are these issues, especially at a time when South Africans want to see the creation of jobs?
Thank you so much, Blaine. So I like the fact that you say the key now, the key focus now is the substance of renewal and growth. And I think we mustn't forget that what has brought us here so far has been a process of rebuilding institutions of the state, which had been severely compromised by a period where they were repurposed to serve private interests of politicians. So at the time that President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered his first State of the Nation address, the bar was set so low, and only this one thing South Africans wanted, to get a sense that the era of state capture had been put to bed and a new dawn had started. And for South Africans, I think it was an easy one to achieve. That's why he got a standing ovation for his State of the Nation address, because all we wanted was hope in the country. All we wanted was that things are going to be well and are going to be different from where they had been. And if one uses the country at war with itself analogy that the president used at the time he was deputy, one key indicator of how a country comes out of a war is rebuilding state institutions. And I think that was a job done largely well. And the crowning act of it was the appointment of Shamila Batoyi as head of the NPA.
Let's talk about some of the achievements and some areas where he might have fell short. The State of the Nation address is an opportunity, no doubt, for the president to take stock of challenges faced by the nation, but also, the progress that has been made. There was a number of promises or commitments made during the 2018 SONA, as you touched on a few. Where do you think the president has achieved and where has he fell short?
I think in as far as repositioning South Africa as an investment destination, a destination for foreign direct investment, I think it's done well there. And we've seen, for example, that the downward slump in inflow of investments from outside the country was reversed last year, and FDI grew at about 400 and some odd %, which shows that the confidence that the international community has in the local economy has improved significantly. So I think that's one of the biggest successes. He's gotten conversation going among key stakeholders about how to best play a role in rebuilding South Africa. So you got the private sector also locally committed to making investments. I think where the challenge is for me is around the promises that he made in leveraging small business growth. The commitment, for example, to buy local, I think there one hasn't seen significant growth in government fully committing to buying local, and also that filtering down from national to local government. You still have a lot of inhibited economic potential in South Africa where local entrepreneurs are not being given enough support. And in a study that we did for one of the special economic zones, we realized that local businesses have a greater impact because when they grow with their suppliers, and therefore they have a likely impact on value chain than foreign businesses which come with their established supplier networks. So there's a lot of work that's needed there. We also need to ensure that the South African economy grows in ways that result in a net growth in jobs rather than net losses.
Yeah. The president recently gave us a bit of an update with regards to this investment drive at the mining industry. And if you will remember, he said that the aim was to raise about this $100 billion in 5 years. And in about 7 months, there were commitments of about $20 billion. So I guess on the right track, to say the least. The president says he hopes to inspire the nation when he delivers the State of the Nation address later tonight. How important, Ongama, is it for him to strike the right tone?
Yeah, and also I think it's important to strike the right tone and come up with believable, practical things that the state is going to do. So, for example, where there are bottlenecks in moving from vision to execution, the president would need to speak specifically about how those are going to be resolved. In the same way that he was able last year to say we're going to change boards of state-owned enterprises, and they were changed. We need such practical things. For example, how is government planning in practical terms to improve education? I do suspect that the technology investment that he announced during the January 8th statement of the ANC will feature prominently in the State of the Nation address in terms of solutions around the education sector. But we need more for healthcare, for example. Where are the bottlenecks in implementing the NHI and with respect to other service delivery challenges that the government is experiencing?
Yeah, I guess, the focus is expected to be on growing the economy, on youth employment and education. Do you think the president should address the commotion that we saw at universities of late, for instance?
It's important for there to be a commitment in higher education funding in resolving that excess. The reality of the matter, Ben, is that the South African higher education sector does not have the capacity in terms of resource limitations to carry everybody that exits school. So we need alternative pathways to earning a living, where if those that are not making it into the higher education sector, when you take it in totality, for example, it still cannot cater for everybody. So we need to ensure that the economy is vibrant enough to have those alternative pathways for people. But also one of the things that were blunders of the democratic government is to disinvest in technical trades at a high school level. Because what you find now is that those that are involved in small businesses, whether informal or formal, that are geared towards technical trades, whether it be plumbing, welding and related economic activities, are foreign nationals. And that's a huge opportunity cost for South Africans, where they are losing out on potential to generate own income because our education system is not empowering enough for somebody that's not going to go on and pursue their studies post-matric.
Ongama, what about land expropriation without compensation? Very topical. Is that likely to feature prominently in the president's speech?
So I think consistent with the position that he has held, that they need to be loud and visible here long enough to not create the sense that this is the issue whose political home is the EFF. So I think there will be something to say there with respect to land reform. It will be good to hear what has been done at an executive level. From a policy development point of view, I think there's nothing new. We know that there's a process towards passing the bill in Parliament, and also there's a process towards exploring whether Section 25 can be changed. We've had enough of that. It will be good to hear what's happening from a distribution point of view. Has government improved processes of distributing land? Have processes of deciding, for example, land disputes been streamlined, and also creating access to land? Because it's one thing to sort out how government accesses land. It's another to come up with systems and processes that are faster to allocate land to those that need it and are competent to farm.
On another issue, I just want to get your thoughts on the the court judgment, declaring the disbanding of the Northwest PEC unlawful yesterday. Reportedly, there's a possibility of an appeal. But, Ongama, in the election year, what sort of impact will this have on the ANC?
It's a spanner in the works, in the sense that while the new leadership has gained most of its ground in government rather than at the party level, there has been also, albeit slow, some momentum building towards what the new leadership desires. So when you have things like, for example, the Supra Mahumapilo a case in favor of him, it derails what they want to do politically. Secondly, also when you have allegations coming up that finger people within their camp, again, it actually derails. So when you have all of these things cumulatively coming together, they derail, for example, the likelihood with which the likelihood to resolve the list process in a way that consolidates the gains for those that want to bring reform at a party level. So it's a spanner in the works, and it's going to need the ANC is going to need to come to terms with that instability, because, for example, it affects list processes in Northwest, which had its own problems even after the disbandment. So the party is going to need to manage that instability. It can always spill over to government. It can always negate what the party is gaining at a government level if they are failing to manage those internal political issues correctly.
Look, there's been a lot of developments around the Zondo Commission. We understand that the Hawks arresting the likes of, the former Bosasa COO, Angela Agrizzi, and others. We're running a poll today and asking our viewers, what's their thoughts with regards to, with this arrest of Angela Agrizzi and the like, deter people from coming to the Zondo Commission. We've got a poll running up here, and so far, 72% of our viewers saying yes, that would deter, and 28% saying no, with 378 votes cast so far. What's your thoughts on this, Ongama?
The timing for me, it casts a shadow on it, even though I think Hangwani Mulaudzi was trying to justify that the arrest is based on an SIU-linked investigation. But for me, I think it has the likelihood of deterring more witnesses. I think there's a general rule that when people bring in information that is self-incriminating, there's some arrangements that get made, not for them to evade justice, because remember, when people come forward with information, they are aiding the process of arriving at the truth about cases that are before law enforcement institutions. So, as such, should be treated with some relative compensation. I don't know what the legal term for it is, but the need to hear the truth and all of it, I think for me, outweighs at the moment, especially with respect to the two witnesses that were arrested along with those they fingered. It outweighs the benefit that could be derived from taking action against them at this stage specifically.
Ongama, as always, we do appreciate your analysis here on the agenda. You're welcome to come back and give us a post-analysis of the State of the Nation address tomorrow. We'll chat to you soon. Ongama Mtimka is a political analyst, and he's coming to us live from Cape Town via Skype. Let's take a quick break. More news after this. Stay with us.